trying it. We're already here.
We're already here.
Hello.
Hello and welcome, everyone.
Welcome to our houses and offices. And
yes.
I guess
I
we're
love
jumping
it.
right in. And we should tell people like why we're doing this and how we got to this place.
We are the Sirens, and I'm Tamara.
Gia.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gia.
And I'm Taryn.
What an
So the whole idea behind this was we were originally also busy that we didn't have time to get together in real life to talk about all the stuff we like to talk about, and now we're not allowed to.
No, seriously, like it was like what, our first meeting in January where we're like, okay, we have these like great conference calls or like get-togethers, and we're like, we wish we could do these more often. We have so many things to talk about. Why don't we do it over one of these new video conferencing apps and actually make a little show out of it so that we can share all the crazy things that we talk about and think about all the time. And so we've been doing this in prep for the quarantine.
Yeah, who knew that the timing would be so fortuitous in our favor?
Yes.
Yeah. It's been an interesting journey coming here because I think, one of the things we've had some challenges finding is a way to actually carve out enough time to do something about this project, which is Sirens, that we feel so strongly about because we all are so enmeshed in these other projects and productions and things that we all have on our own plates. So it's so nice to be able to A, use technology, and then B, use the time that we now have available to us to actually get to bring to life something like this, because we love the idea of these conversations that we have. It's just so exciting and invigorating, and just want to share all of that excitement with other people too.
And we wanted we want to do it as lo-fi as possible. So shouting out to all those people out there who are like, oh, I'm only going to do something if it's like perfect and production is like polished to this amazing level, and we're just like throwing it out there, and we're just like jumping on Zoom and editing it, quickly afterwards to hopefully get it to you guys to, spur conversations about different STEM topics, which we think is so important, especially during this time, like critical thinking and compassion and, I have no brain power left. I'm hopeless today. How am I going to talk about my article?
Well, look,
I think
the thing that has become abundantly clear over the last couple of weeks is that scientists matter. The work they're doing matters, and we are all flooded with, information about the coronaviruses and COVID-19 specifically. And so it's actually nice to take a moment, pause, and look at some of the other work that's happening in STEM fields or that's STEM related and appreciate it. Because if there's any time to appreciate scientists, now would be it.
Yeah. When things are really made real, I think, this isn't my article, but I happened to see something that was, I don't know what, it was a headline, but it was like, why we have to absolutely stop using the word viral as a metaphor, because it's just become so commonplace that we don't take it seriously anymore. And I thought, that's such a perfect article for us, because those are the things we would send each other back and forth. But as we've promised ourselves, just for our own sanity and for our listeners' enjoyment, this isn't going to be all virus all the time. I mean, obviously you can't avoid talking about it because that's where we are and that's where we're going to be for a very long time. But there are other things happening.
Yeah. So Gia, what got your eye this week?
Oh my gosh, I love the In Her Words newsletter from the New York Times. And it's about women and gender and society, and especially for Women's History Month, they're featuring a woman you need to know about. And I want to figure out how to share my screen with you. So give me 1 second here.
Oh shoot, I have to do that, right? Oh no,
yes.
I forgot how to do that.
And Gia,
okay, screen share.
I'm looking at all three of you at once, but Gia, you're looking at us individually, right? Like speaker by speaker?
That is correct.
Just checking.
Yes. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. There we are.
Oh,
so
yeah,
anyway,
there you go.
If you are interested in the newsletter, I just thought I'd put up this URL here. It's times/series/In Her Words. Anyway, it's a great resource, and I love getting it because it just has so many interesting conversations about topics for women's issues that I would never have even considered and thought about. And one of them happened to be this story for Women's History Month featuring the most incredible woman that I've heard about of late. And this is, if I can scroll up, The Incredible Legacy of Suzanne LaFlèche, the first Native American to earn a medical degree. She was an Omaha Native American from Nebraska, and her father was given the chiefhood from Big Elk, who was the head of the Omaha tribe at that time. And her father was a rather controversial figure because he really believed in the assimilation of the Native Americans, because he saw the alternative as extinction. And there were lots of conflicts in the tribe over people who were loyal to this idea of maintaining the ways of the old life, and those who were trying to bring the Native people into the modern world. And Suzanne was right on the cutting edge of that. And Susan. And by the time she was 24 years old, she graduated from medical school, which was the first medical school in the country established for women. And she could quote Shakespeare, she could quote the Bible, but as a woman in the late 19th century, she couldn't vote, and she could not even call herself an American citizen because she was a Native American. And she worked desperately, interestingly enough, for our times right now, to try and get Native people to understand the science that was causing them problems inside of the reservations, like their water sources, and how they were cleaning things, and that they needed to have screens on their doors so they weren't getting fly bites that were causing all of these diseases. And she would treat white people and she would treat Indians the same. And she would go to the Indians, who deeply distrusted her because she represented everything that they weren't. But she still worked tirelessly, and she was the favorite doctor of everyone in the entire reservation. And in fact, the other white doctor who was there serving all those people left because everybody refused to see that other doctor. She was just
wow.
incredible woman. And see, I'm trying to think of other amazing things to tell you that. Oh yeah, this it's true that even today they're still having issues with health and safety in the tribal areas there. And so this legacy, unfortunately, continues to live on, and that, sort of this legacy of healthcare and, understanding that there is some, I don't know, it just made me really think about how, is it assimilation when you simply learn enough information to keep yourself safe? And is that, in a sense, giving up? Or what do you give up, in essence, to obtain that information, because it is not a part of the worldview that informs your entire culture? And how delicate that balance is, and how she had to be fighting this battle on at a time when no one else was even considering it, and how amazing that really was.
So that brings up, so I actually did a radio play through Wells Fargo, which has a whole season of radio plays that was all about a school. There were these schools that were in the early to mid 1900s, where they would bring Native American kids and basically completely try to squelch all of their traditions out of them, and basically turn them into quote unquote white people.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there was many problems on multiple levels with these. But it brings up an interesting question when you talk about that conflict between bringing in new knowledge that can actually help, but yet distrust of that knowledge because the source that it's coming from has been incredibly horrible to the population.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think part of why women have embraced wellness so wholly, it's because women feel very much like the medical community has ignored them and has not understood their needs. And we know historically that that's factual, right? It's a natural response to that feeling of lack of care. And it's in many cases still a literal lack of care. I mean, look at the rates of pain medication that they distribute to African Americans versus what they distribute to white people. I mean, it's alive and well in our medical field today.
Sure. Well, it's only now that, they're realizing that when they do tests on things, they actually need to include women and not just men in the clinical trials.
Yeah. Heart disease being #1 killer of women, and having had almost next to no studies done on women. Unbelievable. Well, and the other interesting thing that I want to mention on this piece before I forget is that if you say to yourself, well, how come I've never heard about this woman? It's because she has never even been talked about until very recently. This book by Joe Starita called A Warrior of the People is a biography about her. And then there was a PBS documentary about her. So of course
Oh,
now,
there was? Oh, cool.
yes. And I'm trying to find out where that is, but it does say that in here
Okay,
somewhere.
well,
So
well, I saw,
we'll
we'll
link to
include the
it.
links to that in the notes for sure.
Oh yeah, it's called Medicine Woman,
Very
It
cool.
needs to be a
not Dr.
movie.
Quinn.
It needs to be a movie.
Not Dr. Quinn.
No, not
Well,
just the.
go ahead.
No, just tagging onto your topic, TK, about lack of female representation in medical testing,
Mhm.
and then backtracking to sort of assimilation versus abolition of cultures. You have that right now dealing with, like, can I be, somebody had tweeted about it, why is religion and science at such war right now? Like, do I give up my position as a religious person to accept all the science that's been given to me? Like, how has it become so politicized? And it's the same way with what happened back then of, can I stay true to my native heritage and sort of the gods? Of course, my husband is moving my trash cans right now when we're right there.
See, this is the beauty. It's real life, guys. Folks, I'm going to stop saying guys. Please, I really need to stop that. Ugh.
I know, and I wish that there was because folks sound so political, because every candidate uses the word folks.
Yeah.
And then saying ladies sounds precious.
Well, and it also leaves
and
out,
y'all, I'm not
yeah.
Southern, so I
Yeah.
did go to school in the South, but anyway.
I'm not Southern, but I waitressed when I was about 20, or when I was like, 18 to 20. And apparently wherever you are at that point in your life, whatever language things you are around, you will pick up and they will permeate for the rest of your life. So my manager was Southern. He was from South Carolina. And so y'all definitely made its way into my vocabulary, even though I'm from New Jersey.
That's funny.
I've never heard you say y'all.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, I guess I haven't served you any food.
You have not. No, you have. But Gia, your the thing is still up, and it has one of those, like.
Oh, it does. I see the boots is flashing.
The
Hold on.
boots.
Sorry.
I'm
Go away. Go away.
Yeah.
You know what? In other words, I'm going to just
about the boots.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm going
let's
to just stop
unshare.
the share. I'm done. We don't need it there anymore.
Thank you.
Well,
No, I'm
as
sorry.
we're- That's okay. As long as we're talking about women, I think this might be a good pivot to my piece, because my piece is not about women.
I love your piece.
It's about pregnancy. So I'm going to share my screen.
Wait, hold on.
Those...
Sorry, one more garbage can coming.
No problem. That'll give me a chance. Can you all see my screen as we're going through?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That is adorable.
All right. So, in this time of dire straits, I thought finding something fun and cute biologically might be fun to talk about.
Right, because either we're going to have a whole huge amount of pregnancies in 9 months.
American.
Sorry, interrupted.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there won't be pregnancies like the swamp wallaby, because the swamp wallaby, as I found out from this piece in Scientific American, can actually be. Here, let me click it so you can see the full transcript. It looks like a small kangaroo, as you can see, but the swamp wallaby has 2 uteruses, and it can carry 2 pregnancies in different stages of development at the same time. So basically, it gets pregnant, and then as that fetus is getting close to being ready for delivery, it can get pregnant again. So it spends its whole life pregnant.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I will also admit, I know. I will also admit it also caught my eye because the title of the article is Swamp Wallaby Reproduction Give Tribbles a Run. So if you're a Star Trek fan like I am, and I'm spending a lot of time right now watching Star Trek Picard, the tribbles are a very big part of the original series. They're these cute little furry things. I think I can click, maybe, let me see. Yeah, there you go. They're these cute little furry things.
I forgot about
I think, there we go.
Oh.
Yes, the tribbles.
it was William Shatner's
tribbles
birthday
are born
yesterday.
pregnant. Aw, happy birthday, William Shatner.
Happy birthday, William Shatner.
And so the interesting thing I found out too, let me see if I can find this on here and make this fun for everybody. The interesting thing I found out on here in reading a bit more about the tribbles is that I knew it was the episode had originally been written by David Gerald, but he said that his original idea for tribbles was based on the problems associated with overpopulation of rabbits in Australia. And of course, you know, the wallaby is Australian as well. So all kinds of inspiration there from real life.
Connected.
Exactly. So that is my fun piece for
Oh my
appreciating
God.
all kinds of crazy things happening in biology
Something
right
that I
now and
saw.
in our natural world. I mean, look, and so far for the first time we're able to actually prove that the swamp wallaby is pregnant its whole life. It's never not pregnant. Don't you feel like that's a
Wow.
slogan someone would
Why?
have on a t-shirt?
Never not.
Yeah.
My grandmother literally had 7 boys over 10 years. So she
Yeah.
was like almost never not
Just
pregnant.
never not pregnant.
Yeah.
Never not pregnant.
My Irish grandmother only has you beat by 6 more kids because my grandmother was the oldest of 13. Yeah.
That's a lot of
That's
babies.
just so many babies.
Good Catholics, those people. Good
And then
Catholics.
the kids just like take care of
Of the other
the
kids.
kids. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because like you can't.
No.
You're off in a corner
Speaking-
crying, drinking Irish whiskey.
Speaking of babies, my child just very sweetly opened the door. In the other room, she and my husband are attempting to make homemade candied pecans. So
Yum.
this is
Yeah.
a pecan. I know it might look like something else from afar. It's a pecan. And
Yeah, I thought it was like
oh my
a
God,
rabbit
this is-
dung. Is it good?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
really
awesome.
yeah. This is really good. I'll put the link to the recipe they used in the thing.
Please do.
Like we said, everyone, this is real life. This is work in progress. We usually record at home when no one else is home, but everyone's home right now. So
Everyone's here. That's true.
pecans.
Oh, well, then in that sense, I will I'll have to do a nice recording. I have a song called I Want to Be a Wallaby that I wrote.
Really?
Yeah. And
Well,
what's
then this
hilarious,
is the song for the episode.
it's obviously the song for the episode. And it's even more funny because it's actually a song about the financial collapse, but it's about wallabies. So it's perfect because the Dow has just tanked. Everything is gone to hell in a handbasket. So it's
For all
kind
you
of
people
perfect.
who are just meeting us, Gia is a phenomenal singer. So hopefully you'll be able to be exposed to her raw talents in this time.
Your verse, wait. It'll be exciting. I'll have another song. I just wrote another one. The podcast that I'm on called Pessimist Archive, which is so awesome. Our upcoming episode, I got to write music for this time too. So it's been very fun. Nice to have, I suppose, the time to actually write the music for this stuff. So
Well,
it's kind of
speaking
cool.
of time, I mean, Taryn, I know this came at a very strange time for you because you were actually in New Orleans in prep on the feature film that you're about to direct.
No, we were all talking about how we were going to do this with me in New Orleans. And I kept like freaking out basically when I was there, being like, how on earth am I going to like find 20 minutes? I'm like, Taryn, you can find 20 minutes sometime. But literally I was working 16 hours a day in New Orleans prepping this really fun, awesome movie. But it's kind of cool how that's how I found this article, because I was thrown into this movie that has all these VFX elements to it. So there's a character who's like a 9-inch tall elf type character with wings. And so I was basically, because we didn't have a VFX supervisor on the movie when I came aboard as the director, we kind of were working backwards because none of us involved in the movie had really had a ton of VFX experience. And, you know, I just had a little bit on the short film that I did. And so I was just doing a deep dive into trying to learn as much as I could about, you know, shooting on green screen and compositing, as well as like 3D effects versus 2D effects, and just sort of where we're going in the VFX realm in filmmaking. And so I ended up stumbling across this article about The Mandalorian. And of course, TK, being a nerd, would love The Mandalorian too.
I do.
And
I'm a big fan.
and so I actually found it because on Instagram, I was also following all these cinematographers, because I was basically just doing a huge deep dive into everything cinematic when it came to especially any sort of VFX type shots. And I stumbled across this cinematographer who had worked with like Denis Villeneuve and done Star Wars Rogue One. And he was the cinematographer on The Mandalorian. And they had been working on this new technique on Rogue One about how to shoot in-camera VFX shots. So hold on, let me pull up this article. It's in the American Cinematographers magazine. Share screen.
And I love that you picked this piece, of course, because like everyone else, I am obsessed with Baby Yoda.
Oh, yeah.
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Do you guys see it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, why did it go to there? I don't want it to go to there. Go, hold on. There we are.
There we go.
No, I mean like Baby Yoda, I think activated the uteruses of many geek girls. We're suddenly like, oh, can I have a baby? Can I do some genetic engineering to have a Baby Yoda?
As long as it's not activating the uteruses of more swamp wallabies.
Yeah,
exactly.
Don't give them another. They already have two. They don't need a third one.
So this is the cinematographer that I had stumbled upon, Greg, maybe, Fraser. And he actually just finished up shooting Dune, which our friend John Spates wrote. And so I was so fascinated by this because I'd never heard of in-camera effects. So basically, and ironically, just this past weekend, I did this Zoom seminar on in-camera VFX effects with two ladies who work at a place called Halon
Wait,
Studios.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hold on. When you say in-camera effects, what
I'm
does
just
that
going to explain
mean?
it. Okay, sorry. As everyone will attest to, Gian, tomorrow, my brain kind of ping pongs back and forth from like way too many things, so I apologize. But in-camera effects is where, okay, so regular VFX, you think of green screen and blue screen. So you think of shooting a character, an actor, in front of a green screen or a blue screen. And then after the fact, you composite a digital world that's been created in the computer with this character who's been shot in front of the green screen. So the green screen's removed and it's combined, composited. Now that creates a whole lot of difficulties in post-production because of A, the workflow of it, and B, you have a lot of reflection. So for instance, in The Mandalorian, he has a shiny costume. And so when light is shone on him, the green and the blue would be reflecting. And so for every frame of that shot, that would have to be removed, which is very expensive.
Wow.
And also to create light that matches the environment that you've created digitally is very difficult. And that's something I was trying to figure out how we were going to do in shooting our 9-inch elf character, which we would shoot full screen on a green screen, but then composite him in to the environment that we've shot as a background plate, making sure that we've matched the light. So when they've created this in-camera VFX, they've basically built this, what they call the volume, and it's 3 or 4 massive LED screens that actually play video that the character is shot in front of. And because of the quality of the video and the way that the cameras are motion tracked, it actually is as if the two exist as one. So it's as if this environment is real and not a projected video screen. And you can basically, the actor can see where he is. He's
That's
actually in the
amazing.
environment.
That's so cool.
Wow.
And yeah. So Jon Favreau, who had done a whole bunch of, and there's so many elements to it. I mean, I could talk about this for hours. I mean, it's really interesting how this is going to shift all types of filmmaking, whether it's big, epic, action movies or even commercials. There was a video I saw during this seminar that I took on Zoom where it showed, it was like a motorcycle commercial, and you can basically change the location of where you are in 15 minutes, just the amount of time it takes to load up the new 4K footage to be projected back there. But it's, there's so many different elements that go into that, but it allows you to be in a very contained space that, say, one of the reasons they had to do it for The Mandalorian is because for a TV workflow, you don't have the budget or the time that you have for a feature film to create all these different Star Wars worlds. You need to be able to, shoot 2 or 3 scenes in a day, not be on one location for 3 months. That's just not feasible. But it really started making me think, because just to backtrack, Jon Favreau, he's been working with a lot of digital technology, first with Jumanji movies, and then with the new Lion King And they were saying and this was 2 women that were giving this class this weekend, when they create these digital worlds that ultimately are projected on the backdrop, you can, as a director, go in VR and walk around in it. So you can experience the world that's being built to be projected in VR. And it's all like, and you are in the proper size of it because they've been able to render it in the computer in the appropriate sizes. So you can be like, I need to move this rock over here, I need this, and you can do it. You can actually do it live action. So you're shooting and you're like, you know what, I think that this hut over here should be moved 30 feet over so we have more of a vista behind him. You're doing it. Like,
that's amazing.
So in our world right now, where everything is becoming like, I think that the acceleration towards VR gaming and experiences is going to happen very quickly. I think it's been a lot of companies that invested heavily in VR, I think, were surprised that the adoption of it didn't happen at the rate that they thought they were. And I think it's because I think they just thought that a regular movie or TV show would become VR, but it's a very different type of experience. But if you think of, like, we need to have this tangible relationship to people, and in VR, you can have haptic feedback. Like, you can be wearing gloves and touch something, and you get that feeling of actually touching that person and being face to face with them. So, it was just sort of, that's why I wanted to bring this this article, because I think that it sort of is a stepping stone to the future of entertainment, but also sort of where technology is going to move as we become more dependent on digital connection between people.
Wow.
Very cool. All right, well, pop back out so I can see your lovely face again.
Stop share.
There we go.
Stop share.
So do you think, so I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
How does it, so the camera that is recording the live actor and the 4K screen resolves the depth of field in such a way that they look?
Yep.
Wow.
So they've shot
Wow.
they've done this thing called the photogrammetry. I don't know. I usually can say it. Photogrammetry. Anyway, it's a way that they shoot. So, because a lot of these digital, worlds that they've created have first been captured in, in 360 photographs. So they've taken all these at different, they take all their prime lenses out there, and so they do a lot of recon beforehand. So this, there's a lot more prep that goes into shooting like this, but you cut your post time in half, even more, because you basically can almost get a final image with this. Sometimes you have to adjust a little bit in post, but they're saying it's close to final.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it basically flips it.
Yeah, exactly. And so they have to take all these different different image rates, frames of, and then they stitch it all together. And then there's motion tracking on the camera and on the space, so the camera can move and properly adjust to create the real feel of it. So you don't feel like you're in front of a two-dimensional object.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff to go through in the in the article, that it's a deep dive into it, which is great. But I'll also link to a couple of videos that I was given the links to over the past weekend, which show kind of this in live action, showing how this is done, as well as a photo shoot for a commercial. That was
very
really
cool.
But
well,
it's like, hold on, 2 18 high by 20 wide flat panels of 132 more LED screens in the ball. Anyway, it's just, these are huge sets that they're creating, but it's definitely the future. I couldn't shoot my movie this way because we aren't creating any worlds that aren't seen. Like, maybe in this book, it's there's sort of an other world that has like a fairy realm to it. So if we ventured there, this would be the perfect technology to use for it. It doesn't help us when we have to composite, because we have to shrink somebody down in size. But it's still interesting.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, ladies, I'm so glad that we got to chat and catch up and talk about fun, cool things besides what's happening in the world, even though it's all relevant to our world right now.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we definitely invite you to follow along. We're curious to know what you are curious about. If there's a topic you want to know more about, let us know. So
Yes, that's a big thing. We really want this to be interactive with everybody because, you know, we're all going to evolve and adapt during this time together. So, you know, let's create a global consciousness. Not the what's the Star Trek one I call it? The
Control.
no, not control. The hive, not the hive.
The
The
Borg.
Borg. We're not creating the Borg.
How was I the one who said the Borg? That's not.
Oh.
No.
I'm
There's
proud of
something
you,
very
Gia.
wrong.
I'm very proud of you, Gia.
Well, it was so good to see all of you ladies. I'm so glad that you're happy and healthy, and I know that tomorrow your show's on post hold right now. Yeah.
Yeah, we are on hold right now because I host a show on the Science Channel, and it's all shot out in the field and involves extensive travel. So that
Yep.
ain't happening at the moment. So
You and me both,
since we're following
sister.
the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you're both healthy. It's very scary stuff. So I love you both very much.
Same.
I'm giving you digital hugs.
Thanks for all the social cooperation. Yay.
Yay.
Bye, y'all.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Stay safe out there.